So, Uri, welcome this morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing very well, thank you. There's so much to look at, so much for investors to keep in mind this morning. You've got the news from China, you've still got questions about the Greek debt, and we've got retail sales coming out a half hour from now. What's going to move markets today?
Well, I think the Greece story is going to continue to be, top of mind for everybody. I remember when I was working in London in 1998, and Russia needed to refinance its debt. It had about 50 billion euros at that time that it needed to finance, and that threw the whole market into turmoil. Greece has about 250, and you just added another 8 billion to its balance sheet in debt just this past week. Another 24 coming in by the end of the year. So Greece is in a lot of trouble. Based on the Maastricht Treaty, they're required to have a debt to GDP ratio of less than 60%, and they're over 100%. So it's going to be very challenging for them to actually make the right cuts in terms of their budget, and over the next year. And we're going to be watching very closely to see what the other European countries are willing to do from a bailout perspective.
Until then, we're going to continue to see the markets very volatile based on what happens there, is your prediction?
I think this is the big story. I think it's going to affect the currency, our dollar, and that's what everyone's going to be watching. It's an issue that could throw all of the equity markets into turmoil. And when people have no confidence and there's a lot of uncertainty out there because of an issue like this, the stock market is going to continue to be volatile based on this type of news. As
we enter into the trading day, Matt, I'll go to you. What's on your radar?
It's all about Greece right now. I think Uri has it right. It's an uncertainty. I mean, we've had pretty good earnings over the last couple of weeks, really comparatively speaking, and it really hasn't affected the market because everybody has the uncertainty of Greece. And it's not just Greece. It's then Spain. Spain has unemployment over 20%. They're in some trouble as well. So if the EU does bail out Greece, then the questions start coming, are they going to bail out Spain, Portugal, Ireland? And then just the more uncertainty just keeps going. So that's going to put a lid on this market. Even though I am buying into the pullbacks right now in individual stocks, there is going to be a lid on the overall market. But the trading action the last 4 days, Sandra, has actually been pretty positive to me. We've seen some buying at the end of the sessions. That's telling me people are anticipating a possible resolution to this going in overnight. So you don't want to be short going into a possible resolution because the market will pop on that.
That's a great point. And Uri, if you remember back to last Friday, as we headed into the weekend, and still all the talk was about Greece. I happened to be on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange that day. As we headed towards the closing bell, we saw that complete reversal of down nearly 180 points in the Dow that day and finished higher by 10. So the trading activity that we're seeing is very interesting. And here we are heading into another weekend of uncertainty again.
No, you're absolutely correct. And if you look at the big picture here, if the European countries decide not to give this country a bailout but still insist on them making budget cuts, they have to cut their budget by 4% for the next 3 years. If you look at that, let's compare that, for example. If we had to do that here in the United States, that would be $500 billion in cuts for 3 years consecutively. I mean, it's going to have a devastating effect on the Greek economy, certainly. And so it's going to be a challenging environment for them to do what they need to do in terms of a government, because there's going to be a lot of unrest in the country, and regardless of what happens. So it's going to be a challenging environment, and I think that the Greek news at least for the next week or two is going to really be driving markets.
All right, Uri and Matt, thank you so much for a look at the day ahead. It's going to be an eventful one, lots of news to watch, and Ashley.